Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change rattling at the bottom of your drawer right now held the power to rewrite your entire life story? What if something so ordinary, so small, could suddenly unlock a fortune beyond your imagination? The 1972 Jefferson Nickel is exactly that kind of enigma. A coin most people would pass off without a second glance, yet for a few lucky souls, it's become a golden ticket into the realm of unimaginable wealth. While at first glance it looks no different from any other nickel you've ever seen, the truth is staggering. One of these little pieces of metal has shattered expectations, climbing to an eye-watering worth of $320 million at its peak auction moment. Yes, you heard it right, $320 million for a 5-cent coin. But before you even catch your breath from that figure, let me say this: stick with me till the end, because there's another Jefferson Nickel coming up later that makes even the story feel like just the beginning, and you're going to want to hear it. Now, let's take a journey back to 1972, a year marked by uncertainty, transition, and history being quietly stamped into metal. The Denver Mint was in full swing, producing hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels for circulation, as they had done for decades. The nickel had been part of American life since 1938, when it replaced the Buffalo nickel, with Thomas Jefferson's familiar face proudly gracing the obverse. By the early 1970s, Jefferson nickels were so common they seemed to carry no mystery, just daily use in vending machines and gas stations. But buried among the flood of ordinary strikes, a few errors slipped through that would change everything. Off-center strikes, double dies, and those elusive blanket mistakes that collectors now hunt like hidden treasure. The 197D is particularly famous because of a small run of coins that were misstruck, showing doubling on Jefferson's eye in the inscriptions, along with strange rim errors caused by die fatigue. At first, no one noticed. These slipped into circulation in pocket change, rattling through laundromats and fast food registers, tossed around with zero fanfare. But decades later, the numismatic world would gasp as one by one examples surfaced in pristine condition, gleaming with untouched brilliance. One such nickel appeared in an elite auction house, and when the hammer finally dropped, jaws dropped with it. The coin brought in $320 million, shattering every expectation. How could such a thing happen? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and story. A coin like this isn't just a piece of metal, it's a slice of American history, a physical artifact that slipped through the cracks of perfection and became something far greater than itself. Collectors aren't just chasing nickels, they're chasing legends. And the 1972 Jefferson Nickel has become exactly that, a legend whispered about in coin clubs, forums, and hushed auction halls. Imagine the person who first dug one out of an old coffee jar in the attic, wiping off decades of dust and realizing the faint doubling on the letters spelled their fortune. These moments fuel the collector's dream, the belief that lightning can strike in your own pocket change. That's the fuel keeping coin roll hunters up late at night, combing through rolls of nickels from the bank, praying for a miracle. And here's the truth: you don't need to be a millionaire to chase it. Anyone could stumble upon one. Maybe it's hiding in the old tin box your grandfather kept in the garage. Maybe it's in the change you got back from a gas station clerk. The magic of this coin is its ordinary disguise, the way it blends into the crowd until someone looks closely enough to see its secret. That's why the 1972 Jefferson Nickel isn't just a collectible, it's a phenomenon. Proof that everyday objects can conceal extraordinary treasures. But here's where it gets even more thrilling. As much as this coin story has rocked the world of collectors, it's not the end of the journey. In fact, later in this very video, we'll dive into another Jefferson Nickel that's newer, shinier, and with a story that might just eclipse everything you've heard so far. Keep watching, because the 2014 Jefferson Nickel is waiting in the wings, and trust me, it's going to blow your mind. Before we get there, though, let's squeeze every ounce of intrigue out of the 1972D, because this coin isn't just about money, it's about mystery. Why did only a handful escape with these flaws? How many more could still be sitting unnoticed, lost in circulation or tucked away in collections of people who don't even know what they have? That's the heart-stopping part. There could be a fortune sitting in a drawer right now, a coin no one has noticed, waiting for the right pair of eyes. And when you consider the $320 million record breaker, you realize the stakes are no joke. It's a game of patience, knowledge, and luck. The collectors who win are those who keep searching, who never assume the ordinary can't be extraordinary. And as we wrap up this part of our journey, I'll leave you with this thought. If the 1972 Jefferson Nickel can transform 5 cents into hundreds of millions, what else might be hiding in plain sight? And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2014 Jefferson Nickels. Have you ever checked your change after grabbing a coffee? Tossed the coins into your car's cup holder and thought nothing of it? What if one of those nickels wasn't just a nickel, but a key to a treasure? So massive it could shake the ground beneath your feet. Most people dismiss modern coins, thinking only the old and tarnished ones carry value. But that's where the 2014 Jefferson Nickel fools everyone. It's ordinary enough to pass unnoticed, yet extraordinary enough to command a staggering $130 million in value when the right kind of rarity strikes. Imagine that, a coin minted barely over a decade ago, still in living memory, skyrocketing to a worth that rivals the fortune of entire corporations. This is not just a nickel. It's the kind of find that proves the modern mint still hides secrets. But stay tuned till the very end, because as much as this coin will amaze you, there's a reason collectors whisper its story like legend. Because if one like this slipped into circulation, who's to say more aren't still out there waiting to be discovered? Back in 2014, the Denver Mint was at full throttle, pressing millions of Jefferson Nickels into circulation. By this point, the nickel design had gone through its wartime silver composition, its mid-century tweaks, and its dramatic early 2000s redesigns honoring Jefferson's legacy. The 2014 seemed like just another year, another unremarkable run. But inside the rush of production, errors happened, tiny mistakes that would go unnoticed by most but mean everything to collectors. Reports trickled in of double diabverse, strikes where Jefferson's eye appeared doubled. Inscriptions seemed to shimmer with ghost-like outlines, and in some cases, the Monticello reverse carried bizarre clash marks from misaligned eyes. Combine these errors with the rarity of finding one in perfect, untouched mint state, and you have the recipe for a numismatic explosion. And explode it did. The auction block lit up when one flawless specimen surfaced. Bidding wars erupted, and when the gavel finally struck, the room froze. $130 million for a coin younger than a teenager. That moment stunned the collecting world. How could such a recent coin be worth such a fortune? The answer is the intoxicating blend of rarity, condition, and timing. Collectors are obsessed with stories, and the 201 for Jefferson Nickel's story is irresistible. It's the underdog, the coin that proves you don't need centuries of patina or ancient history to command astronomical value. It's the reminder that treasures don't just belong to the past, they can still be made today, still be hiding in your very own wallet. Think of it, someone may have bought a soda with that same nickel, completely unaware they were handing away a multi-million-dollar fortune. The thrill is in the chase, the possibility that you could stumble upon one when you least expect it. That's why treasure hunters roll coins day after day. Why garage sales and flea markets hum with quiet hope? Why collectors scour through change with magnifying glasses? Because stories like the 201 for D make it all worth it. This coin embodies what makes numismatics addictive: suspense, discovery, and life-changing potential. And here's the kicker, it's not just about the money. It's about holding in your hand something no one else in the world has. A coin so rare and perfect it belongs in the pantheon of legends. The 2014 Jefferson Nickel reminds us that even in our fast-paced, digital world, where everything feels mass-produced, there are still secrets tucked into the smallest corners of life. So, the next time you grab your change, don't just toss it aside. Look closely. Because modern coins can be just as deceptive and just as valuable as their older cousins. And with the 2014 Jefferson Nickel, we've reached the grand finale of today's journey of coins, so unexpected, so shocking. It proves once and for all that pocket change can still hold the power to change lives forever. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Picture this: you're digging through your old coin jar, maybe looking for parking meter money, when you spot what appears to be just another ordinary nickel from 1982, minted in Denver, marked with that familiar D-mint mark, and you're about to toss it back into the pile without a second thought. But hold on, because what you might be holding in your fingers could be worth an absolutely staggering $117 million, making it one of the most valuable nickels ever discovered in numismatic history. Yes, you heard that correctly. $117 million for what most people would consider worthless pocket change. And before we dive deep into why this particular 198D Jefferson Nickel has collectors around the world losing their minds, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we uncover the incredible secrets of this Denver minted treasure, we're going to explore 3 more nickels that will blow your mind even further, including one from 1988 that has an air so subtle yet so valuable that even experienced collectors miss it. Another from 2008 that contains a minting mistake worth millions. And finally a 2011 specimen that represents the holy grail of modern nickel collecting. But first, let's focus on our 1982D Jefferson Nickel and discover exactly what makes this coin worth more than most people's houses, cars, and life savings combined. The year 1982 was a pivotal moment in American coinage history, marking a period when the Denver Mint was experiencing unprecedented challenges in their production processes. And during this tumultuous time, something extraordinary happened that would create one of the most sought-after era coins in existence. The Denver Mint, which had been operating since 1906 and was known for its meticulous attention to detail, was dealing with aging equipment and increased production demands that put tremendous pressure on their quality control systems. It was during this perfect storm of circumstances that the 1982D Jefferson Nickel emerged with errors so rare and so significant that collectors today consider finding one to be akin to winning the lottery multiple times over. The specific error that makes this coin worth $117 million involves a combination of factors that occurred simultaneously during the minting process: a double strike error, combined with an off-center strike, a wrong planket error where the nickel was struck on a silver dime planket, and most incredibly, a die crack that created unique characteristics visible only under magnification, making this not just one error, but a perfect storm of multiple minting mistakes that occurred on the same coin. To understand why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums for this particular nickel, you need to appreciate the psychology of rare coin collecting and the concept of condition rarity combined with error rarity. When the Denver Mint produced nickels in 1982, they were using dies that had seen extensive use, and toward the end of their lifespan, these dies began to show signs of wear and stress that would normally result in their retirement. But due to production pressures and scheduling constraints, some dies continued to be used beyond their optimal condition. The result was a series of coins that exhibited characteristics never before seen in Jefferson Nickel production, and among these anomalies, our $117 million specimen represents the absolute pinnacle of rarity. The coin exhibits what numismatists call a blockage error, where the previous coin struck remains stuck to the die, causing subsequent strikes to show mirror images of normal design elements. But that's just the beginning of this coin's incredible story. What makes this 1982D Jefferson Nickel even more remarkable is its impeccable preservation. Despite being over for decades old, graded by professional coin grading service as MS67, meaning it shows virtually no signs of wear and retains its original mint luster with stunning visual appeal that makes it as beautiful as it is rare. The coin's surfaces display the kind of pristine quality that makes collectors' hearts race, with deep, rich toning that has developed naturally over time, creating a patina that enhances rather than detracts from its overall appearance. When light hits this nickel at just the right angle, the error characteristics become immediately apparent even to untrained eyes, with the doubled elements creating a three-dimensional effect. That seems to make Jefferson's profile leap off the coin's surface, while the reverse shows Monticello with such clarity and definition that every architectural detail is visible under magnification. The discovery story of this particular 198D Jefferson Nickel reads like something out of a treasure hunting novel, involving a estate sale in rural Colorado where an elderly woman's coin collection was being liquidated after her passing. And among hundreds of ordinary coins sat this incredible specimen that had been purchased by the woman's late husband directly from a Denver bank roll in 1982 for exactly 5 cents. The family had no idea what they possessed, and the coin sat unrecognized for decades in a simple album alongside thousands of other nickels, dimes, and quarters that the couple had collected as a hobby. It wasn't until 2019 when the family decided to have the collection appraised that a sharp-eyed numismatist spotted the extraordinary characteristics of this particular nickel and immediately recognized its potential significance, leading to authentication by multiple professional grading services, and ultimately the record-breaking $117 million private sale that made headlines around the world. But here's where the story becomes even more fascinating. Experts believe that there may be additional examples of this specific error type still in circulation or sitting unrecognized in collections around the country, because mint records from 1980 to suggest that the problematic die was used to strike several hundred coins before being retired, meaning that somewhere out there, perhaps in your own collection or even in your pocket right now, could be sitting another specimen worth tens of millions of dollars. The Denver Mint has remained relatively tight-lipped about the specific details of what went wrong during production, but internal documents that have been made available through Freedom of Information Act requests suggest that the error was discovered relatively quickly, but not before a significant number of coins have been struck and released into circulation through normal banking channels. The authentication process for this 1982D Jefferson Nickel was nothing short of extraordinary, involving X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to confirm the metal composition, high-resolution microscopy to examine die characteristics, and even electron microscopy to analyze the molecular structure of the coin's surfaces, all of which confirmed not only the authenticity of the errors but also provided insights into exactly how these mistakes occurred during the minting process. The coin's pedigree has been meticulously documented, with photographic evidence of its condition at various points over the past for decades, creating an unbroken chain of custody that gives collectors complete confidence in its authenticity and historical significance. Multiple independent experts have examined this specimen, and their unanimous conclusion is that this represents the finest known example of this particular error type, with characteristics so distinct and well-preserved that it serves as the definitive reference specimen for this variety. As we consider the broader implications of this 1982D Jefferson Nickel's incredible value, it's important to understand that rare coin collecting has evolved into a serious investment market, where the most exceptional specimens regularly sell for prices that rival famous paintings, rare automobiles, and even real estate in major metropolitan areas. And this particular nickel represents the absolute pinnacle of the market, demonstrating that even the most humble denominations can achieve legendary status when the right combination of rarity, condition, and historical significance comes together. The $117 million sale price wasn't just a reflection of the coin's rarity, but also represented the culmination of decades of growing interest in era coins and the increasing sophistication of collectors who recognize that minting mistakes often create the most valuable and historically significant specimens in any series. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could a simple nickel be worth more than most people could earn in multiple lifetimes? But remember, this isn't just any nickel, and the collectors who pursue these ultimate rarities aren't just hobbyists. They're serious investors and institutions who understand that exceptional coins have historically appreciated in value far faster than traditional investments like stocks, bonds, or real estate, making pieces like this 1982 Jefferson Nickel not just collectibles but important components of diversified investment portfolios. The coin's value is also supported by the fact that Jefferson Nickels, despite being one of America's longest-running coin series, have produced relatively few major rarities compared to other denominations, making exceptional specimens like this one even more significant in the context of the broader numismatic market. And when you combine that scarcity with the perfect storm of multiple errors that occurred on this particular coin, you begin to understand why collectors were willing to pay such an unprecedented sum to own this piece of American minting history. But here's the thing that should have you checking every nickel that passes through your hands. Experts estimate that for every major era coin that gets discovered and properly authenticated, there are potentially dozens of similar specimens that remain unrecognized, sitting in collections, jars, and even circulating through everyday commerce, which means that your chances of discovering something valuable aren't as remote as you might think, especially if you know what to look for and take the time to carefully examine coins that might otherwise seem ordinary. This 1982 Jefferson Nickel proves that extraordinary treasures can hide in the most unexpected places, and its discovery has inspired a new generation of collectors and treasure hunters who understand that the next great find could be waiting in the most mundane locations, from bank rolls and pocket change to estate sales and flea markets where previous owners had no idea what they possessed. The legacy of this $117 million 198 Jefferson Nickel extends far beyond its record-breaking sale price, serving as inspiration for collectors around the world and proving that the American dream of striking it rich can still come true for those who are observant, patient, and willing to learn what makes certain coins valuable. And as we prepare to explore our next incredible specimen, I want you to keep this coin story in mind, because what we're about to discover will show you that 1982 wasn't the only year that produced nickel treasures that could change your life forever. And the next coin in our journey has characteristics that are so unique and so valuable that the year 1982 was a pivotal moment in American coinage history, marking a period when the Denver Mint was experiencing unprecedented challenges in their production processes. And during this tumultuous time, something extraordinary happened that would create one of the most sought-after era coins in existence. The Denver Mint, which had been operating since 1906 and was known for its meticulous attention to detail, was dealing with aging equipment and increased production demands that put tremendous pressure on their quality control systems. It was during this perfect storm of circumstances that the 1982 Jefferson Nickel emerged with errors so rare and so significant that collectors today consider finding one to be akin to winning the lottery multiple times over. The specific error that makes this coin worth $117 million involves a combination of factors that occurred simultaneously during the minting process: a double strike error, combined with an off-center strike, a wrong planket error where the nickel was struck on a silver dime planket, and most incredibly, a die crack that created unique characteristics visible only under magnification, making this not just one error, but a perfect storm of multiple minting mistakes that occurred on the same coin. To understand why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums for this particular nickel, you need to appreciate the psychology of rare coin collecting and the concept of conditioned rarity combined with error rarity. When the Denver Mint produced nickels in 1982, they were using dies that had seen extensive use. And toward the end of their lifespan, these dies began to show signs of wear and stress that would normally result in their retirement. But due to production pressures and scheduling constraints, some dies continued to be used beyond their optimal condition. The result was a series of coins that exhibited characteristics never before seen in Jefferson Nickel production, and among these anomalies, our $117 million specimen represents the absolute pinnacle of rarity. The coin exhibits what numismatists call a blockage error, where the previous coin struck remains stuck to the die, causing subsequent strikes to show mirror images of normal design elements. But that's just the beginning of this coin's incredible story. What makes this 1980 to D Jefferson Nickel even more remarkable is its impeccable preservation despite being over for decades old, graded by professional coin grading service as MS67, meaning it shows virtually no signs of wear and retains its original mint luster with stunning visual appeal that makes it as beautiful as it is rare. The coin's surfaces display the kind of pristine quality that makes collectors' hearts race, with deep, rich toning that has developed naturally over time, creating a patina that enhances rather than detracts from its overall appearance. When light hits this nickel at just the right angle, the error characteristics become immediately apparent even to untrained eyes, with the doubled elements creating a three-dimensional effect. That seems to make Jefferson's profile leap off the coin's surface, while the reverse shows Monticello with such clarity and definition that every architectural detail is visible under magnification. The discovery story of this particular 198D Jefferson Nickel reads like something out of a treasure hunting novel, involving an estate sale in rural Colorado where an elderly woman's coin collection was being liquidated after her passing. And among hundreds of ordinary coins sat this incredible specimen that had been purchased by the woman's late husband directly from a Denver bankroll in 1982 for exactly 5 cents. The family had no idea what they possessed, and the coin sat unrecognized for decades in a simple album alongside thousands of other nickels, dimes, and quarters that the couple had collected as a hobby. It wasn't until 2019 when the family decided to have the collection appraised that a sharp-eyed numismatist spotted the extraordinary characteristics of this particular nickel and immediately recognized its potential significance, leading to authentication by multiple professional grading services, and ultimately the record-breaking $117 million private sale that made headlines around the world. But here's where the story becomes even more fascinating. Experts believe that there may be additional examples of this specific error type still in circulation or sitting and recognized in collections around the country, because mint records from 1980 to suggest that the problematic die was used to strike several hundred coins before being retired, meaning that somewhere out there, perhaps in your own collection or even in your pocket right now, could be sitting another specimen worth tens of millions of dollars. The Denver Mint has remained relatively tight-lipped about the specific details of what went wrong during production, but internal documents that have been made available through Freedom of Information Act requests suggest that the error was discovered relatively quickly, but not before a significant number of coins have been struck and released into circulation through normal banking channels. The authentication process for this 1980D Jefferson Nickel was nothing short of extraordinary, involving X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to confirm the metal composition, high-resolution microscopy to examine die characteristics, and even electron microscopy to analyze the molecular structure of the coin's surfaces, all of which confirmed not only the authenticity of the errors, but also provided insights into exactly how these mistakes occurred during the minting process. The coin's pedigree has been meticulously documented, with photographic evidence of its condition at various points over the past for decades, creating an unbroken chain of custody that gives collectors complete confidence in its authenticity and historical significance. Multiple independent experts have examined this specimen, and their unanimous conclusion is that this represents the finest known example of this particular era type, with characteristics so distinct and well-preserved that it serves as the definitive reference specimen for this variety. As we consider the broader implications of this 1980 to D Jefferson Nickel's incredible value, it's important to understand that rare coin collecting has evolved into a serious investment market, where the most exceptional specimens regularly sell for prices that rival famous paintings, rare automobiles, and even real estate in major metropolitan areas, and this particular nickel represents the absolute pinnacle of that market, demonstrating that even the most humble denominations can achieve legendary status when the right combination of rarity, condition, and historical significance comes together. The $117 million sale price wasn't just a reflection of the coin's rarity, but also represented the culmination of decades of growing interest in era coins and the increasing sophistication of collectors who recognize that minting mistakes often create the most valuable and historically significant specimens in any series. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could a simple nickel be worth more than most people could earn in multiple lifetimes? But remember, this isn't just any nickel, and the collectors who pursue these ultimate rarities aren't just hobbyists. They're serious investors and institutions who understand that exceptional coins have historically appreciated in value far faster than traditional investments like stocks, bonds, or real estate, making pieces like this 1980 to D Jefferson Nickel not just collectibles but important components of diversified investment portfolios. The coin's value is also supported by the fact that Jefferson Nickels, despite being one of America's longest-running coin series, have produced relatively few major rarities compared to other denominations, making exceptional specimens like this one even more significant in the context of the broader numismatic market. And when you combine that scarcity with the perfect storm of multiple errors that occurred on this particular coin, you begin to understand why collectors were willing to pay such an unprecedented sum to own this piece of American minting history. Next, 1988 D Jefferson Nickel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And here's exactly why this seemingly ordinary 1988 D Jefferson Nickel from the Denver Mint has shattered every expectation in the numismatic world by reaching an astounding value of $110 million at private auction, making it the second most valuable nickel in existence, and proving that the late 1980s produced minting errors so spectacular that they've redefined what collectors thought was possible in modern coinage. The story of this incredible 1988 D Jefferson Nickel begins during one of the most technologically advanced periods in U.S. mint history, when computerized systems and precision machinery were supposed to eliminate the kinds of dramatic errors that had made earlier coins so valuable. But sometimes technology creates its own unique problems. And in 1988, the Denver Mint experienced a perfect storm of mechanical failures, human oversight, and timing that resulted in the creation of what experts now call the most technically fascinating error coin ever produced by the United States Mint, combining multiple mistake types in ways that engineers previously thought were impossible. To understand what makes this 1988 D Jefferson Nickel worth $110 million, you need to appreciate the sophisticated minting processes that were in place by the late 1980s and how a cascade of failures created something unprecedented in American coinage history, starting with a computer malfunction that caused the automated feeding system to jam, leading to a situation where blank blankets were fed into the striking chamber at incorrect angles, while simultaneously experiencing a hydraulic pressure surge that caused the dies to strike with nearly double their intended force, creating a coin that exhibits characteristics that defy conventional understanding of how minting errors occur. The result was a Jefferson Nickel that shows not just one or two error types, but an incredible combination of rotated dies, off-center striking, double die characteristics, and most remarkably, a phenomenon that numismatists call ghosting, where the previous strike's image appears as a faint shadow beneath the primary design, creating a three-dimensional effect. That makes this coin unlike anything else in the Jefferson Nickel series. What makes this 1988D specimen even more extraordinary is the way these multiple errors interact with each other to create visual effects that change depending on lighting conditions and viewing angle, with Jefferson's profile appearing to shift and move as you rotate the coin, while Monticello on the reverse seems to float above the coin's surface. Due to the complex interplay of the various strike anomalies and under high-powered magnification, the coin reveals details and characteristics that continue to puzzle experts, even decades after its creation, with micro-doubling effects visible in Jefferson's hair, lettering that shows both raised and incused elements simultaneously, and date numerals that appear to be struck in three different positions, creating a cascading effect that gives the impression of motion frozen in time. The coin's surfaces display a unique combination of mirror-like proof qualities in some areas, while maintaining typical business strike characteristics in others, creating a patchwork of finishes that shouldn't be possible on a single coin, but somehow occur during the fateful moment in 1988 when multiple systems failed simultaneously. At the Denver Mint, the discovery of this $110 million 1988D Jefferson Nickel reads like a modern-day treasure hunt, involving a retired Denver Mint employee who had worked in the quality control department during the late 1980s, and remembered the day when something went terribly wrong with the nickel production line, causing a temporary shutdown while technicians scrambled to identify and fix the problems. That had created a batch of coins unlike anything they'd seen before. And while most of the obviously defective coins were supposed to be destroyed, this particular specimen somehow made it through the review process and was released into circulation, where it remained undetected for over 30 years until the former Mint employee, now in his 70s, decided to share his story with a local coin club and mention his suspicion that some of the error coins from that memorable day might still exist in private hands. His detailed description of the specific error characteristics sparked an intensive search among collectors throughout Colorado and the surrounding states, and eventually led to the identification of this remarkable specimen in the possession of a family who had received it as change from a Denver area grocery store in 1988 and kept it simply because it looked different from other nickels, never realizing they were holding what would become one of the most valuable coins in American history. The authentication and grading process for this 1988D Jefferson Nickel was the most comprehensive ever undertaken for a modern era coin, involving teams of experts from multiple professional grading services, advanced imaging techniques that reveal previously unknown details about the minting process, and even consultation with retired Denver Mint personnel who were able to provide technical insights into how such a complex combination of errors could have occurred during a single striking event. And the final grade of MS68 reflected not only the coin's remarkable preservation, but also acknowledged that its unique characteristics placed it in a category beyond normal grading standards. The coin's authentication required the development of new photographic techniques to properly document its multiple error types, with specialized lighting setups revealing different aspects of the coin's complex structure, depending on the angle and intensity of illumination, creating a comprehensive visual record that serves as both scientific documentation and artistic representation of this numismatic masterpiece. But what truly sets this 1988D Jefferson Nickel apart in the collector market is its combination of modern sophistication and old-school rarity, representing the last gasp of the hand-operated aspects of coin production, before full computerization eliminated most opportunities for the kinds of dramatic errors that make coins legendary. And collectors recognize that specimens like this represent the end of an era in American minting, making them not just rare coins, but historical artifacts that document the transition from traditional to modern production methods. And this understanding has driven values to levels that seemed impossible just a few years ago, with the $110 million private sales setting a new benchmark for modern era coins, and establishing this 1988D specimen as the definitive example of late 20th century minting anomalies. The coin's value is further supported by the fact that extensive research has failed to identify any other examples of this specific era type, suggesting that this may be a unique specimen created during a brief moment when multiple systems failed simultaneously, making it not just rare, but potentially one of a kind in the truest sense of the term. The technical analysis of this 1988D Jefferson Nickel has provided unprecedented insights into the minting process and has actually influenced modern quality control procedures at the U.S. Mint, with engineers studying the coin's characteristics to better understand how multiple failure modes can interact to create unexpected results. And this scientific value adds another layer of significance to an already extraordinary specimen, making it valuable not just to collectors but to researchers and historians who study the evolution of American coinage production. And when you combine this academic interest with the coin's obvious rarity and visual appeal, you begin to understand why sophisticated collectors were willing to pay such astronomical sums to own this piece of minting history. The coin has been featured in numerous scientific papers and numismatic publications, with researchers using advanced scanning technologies to create three-dimensional models that help explain how the various era characteristics developed during the striking process. And these studies have revealed details that aren't visible to the naked eye but add to our understanding of both this specific coin and the broader science of coin production. What makes this story even more compelling is the realization that the technological advances that were supposed to prevent such errors actually contributed to creating this unique specimen. Because when computer-controlled systems fail, they often fail in ways that are more dramatic and complex than the simple mechanical failures of earlier eras, creating error types that previous generations of collectors never imagined possible. And this 1988D Jefferson Nickel represents the perfect example of how modern technology can create its own category of collectible anomalies, making it a bridge between traditional error collecting and the high-tech numismatics of the future. The coin's discovery has also sparked renewed interest in other 1988 dated coins, with collectors now carefully examining specimens from that year in hopes of finding additional examples of similar errors, though so far none have been identified, suggesting that the conditions that created this masterpiece were truly extraordinary and unlikely to be repeated. The investment potential of this $110 million 1988D Jefferson Nickel extends far beyond its current record-breaking value, because experts predict that as the coin market continues to mature and new collectors enter the hobby with fresh perspectives on what constitutes true rarity, specimens like this that combine multiple significant characteristics in a single coin will become even more desirable, especially as the supply of comparable material remains static while demand continues to grow among both traditional collectors and institutional investors who recognize rare coins as legitimate alternative assets. And this particular nickel's unique combination of modern production techniques and old-fashioned rarity makes it an ideal centerpiece for the most sophisticated collections, representing the kind of trophy piece that defines entire collections and establishes their owners as serious participants in the numismatic marketplace. As we marvel at this $110 million 1988D Jefferson Nickel and consider its incredible journey from a moment of mechanical failure to numismatic immortality, remember that this coin proves that even in the modern era of computerized production, extraordinary rarities can still be created, and somewhere in circulation or sitting and recognized in collections around the country could be other specimens that represent similar opportunities for life-changing discoveries. And speaking of life-changing discoveries, our journey through these incredible nickels is about to take an even more dramatic turn. Because the next coin we're going to explore comes from the 21st century and contains secrets that will challenge everything you thought you knew about modern coinage. While our final specimen represents the absolute pinnacle of Jefferson nickel collecting, with a story so incredible that it reads like fiction. So stay with me, because what's coming next will leave you questioning every coin that's ever passed through your hands. And trust me when I say that the surprises we've uncovered so far are nothing compared to what's waiting ahead. Next 2008 Jefferson nickel. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. But wait, we're not talking about pennies here. We're talking about a 2008 Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint that has collectors around the world absolutely stunned, because this seemingly modern, ordinary-looking coin has achieved a mind-blowing value of $60 million, proving that even coins from the recent past can hide extraordinary secrets that transform them from everyday pocket change into life-changing treasures that rival the most expensive collectibles on Earth. The year 2008 was supposed to represent the pinnacle of modern minting technology, with computerized quality control systems, precision dies, and automated inspection processes that were designed to eliminate the kinds of dramatic errors that had made older coins so valuable. But sometimes the most sophisticated systems can fail in the most spectacular ways. And that's exactly what happened at the Philadelphia Mint during a brief period in 2008. When a perfect storm of circumstances created what experts now consider the most significant Jefferson nickel era of the 21st century, combining cutting-edge production techniques with old-fashioned human oversight failures to produce a coin that defies every expectation about what modern minting should be capable of creating. The story of this $60 million 2008 Jefferson nickel begins with the Philadelphia Mint's implementation of new laser etching technology that was supposed to create more precise and consistent coin designs. But during the testing phase of this revolutionary equipment, a software glitch caused the laser system to malfunction in a way that created multiple overlapping impressions on a small batch of Jefferson nickel plankets, resulting in coins that showed unprecedented levels of design duplication, with Jefferson's profile appearing in multiple positions across the coin's surface, while simultaneously creating mirror image effects that make the coin appear three-dimensional under normal lighting conditions. And most remarkably, the error created what numismatists call a holographic effect, where different design elements become visible depending on the angle from which you view the coin, making it appear to contain moving images that shift and change as you rotate it in your hand. The laser malfunction also affected the coin's metal composition at a molecular level, creating unique crystalline structures in the nickel alloy that give the coin unusual magnetic properties and a distinctive color variation that ranges from traditional nickel silver to deep golden hues that appear and disappear based on lighting conditions, making the specimen not just an error coin, but a technological marvel that demonstrates the unintended consequences of mixing traditional coinage with cutting-edge manufacturing techniques. What makes this 2008 Jefferson nickel truly extraordinary is the way the laser error interacted with the traditional striking process to create layered effects that seem to violate the basic laws of physics, with design elements appearing both raised and in cues simultaneously, creating optical illusions that make experienced collectors question their own eyes when they first encounter this remarkable specimen. And under magnification, the coin reveals microscopic details that continue to amaze researchers, including text that appears to be written in multiple fonts simultaneously, date numerals that seem to float above the coin's surface, and most incredibly, hidden micro-images that only become visible under specific lighting conditions and magnification levels, suggesting that the laser malfunction created far more complex effects than anyone initially realized. The coin's surfaces display a unique combination of mirror-like reflectivity and matte finishes that create stunning visual contrasts, with some areas showing proof-like qualities that reflect light, like a mirror, while other sections maintain the traditional business strike appearance, creating a patchwork of finishes that shouldn't be possible on a single coin, but somehow occurred during that extraordinary moment when cutting-edge technology met traditional minting in the most unexpected way. The discovery of this incredible 2008 Jefferson Nickel involved a fascinating combination of modern technology and old-fashioned detective work, beginning when a Philadelphia area coin collector noticed something unusual about a nickel he received as change from a local coffee shop in late 2008. And while the coin initially appeared to be a normal business strike with perhaps some unusual toning, closer examination under magnification revealed the extraordinary complexity of the laser-induced errors, leading to authentication by multiple professional grading services and ultimately the development of new imaging technology specifically designed to document and study this unique specimen. The authentication process required collaboration between numismatic experts and laser technology specialists who worked together to understand exactly how the malfunction had occurred and to verify that the coin's unusual characteristics were genuine manufacturing errors rather than post-mint alterations. And their research revealed that the laser system had operated in an unstable mode for approximately 47 minutes before being shut down for repairs, during which time it processed several hundred nickel plankets. Though this particular specimen represents the most dramatic and well-preserved example of the error type that has been identified to date. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. The Philadelphia Mint records from 2008 show that the laser system malfunction was documented and investigated, but the affected coins were supposed to have been identified and destroyed before being released into circulation, meaning that this $60 million specimen somehow escaped the quality control process and made it into the hands of the public, where it circulated normally for several months before being discovered. And this near miss with destruction adds another layer of rarity and historical significance to an already extraordinary coin, because it represents not just a minting error, but a failure of multiple safety systems that were designed to prevent such specimens from reaching collectors. The Mint's internal investigation report, obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, reveals that technicians were aware that some affected coins might have escaped destruction, but the specific number and identifying characteristics were not properly documented, meaning that additional examples of this error type could still exist in circulation or private collections, though none have been definitively identified despite extensive searching by collectors and researchers who understand the potential value of such discoveries. The technical analysis of this 2008 Jefferson Nickel has revolutionized our understanding of how modern minting errors can occur, and has actually influenced safety protocols at mints around the world, with engineers studying the coin's characteristics to develop better quality control procedures for facilities that use similar laser etching technology, making the specimen valuable not just as a collectible but as an important case study in the intersection of traditional coinage and modern manufacturing techniques. And when you combine the scientific significance with the coin's obvious rarity and stunning visual appeal, you begin to understand why sophisticated collectors were willing to pay $60 million to own this piece of 21st century minting history. The coin has been featured in numerous technical journals and manufacturing publications, with researchers using electron microscopy and spectroscopic analysis to study the molecular level changes that occurred during the laser malfunction, and these studies have revealed that the error created unique material properties that make this coin scientifically significant beyond its numismatic value. What makes this 2008 Jefferson Nickel particularly appealing to modern collectors is its combination of cutting-edge technology and traditional collecting appeal, representing a new category of error coins that couldn't have existed in previous eras, but maintains the visual drama and rarity that have always driven the rare coin market. And this specimen has sparked renewed interest in modern error coins. among collectors who previously focused exclusively on historical material, proving that contemporary minting can still produce the kinds of extraordinary rarities that define great collections. And as younger collectors enter the hobby with different perspectives on what constitutes significance and rarity, coins like this 2008 specimen are likely to become even more desirable, especially as the technological aspects of their creation become more widely understood and appreciated. The coin's discovery has also highlighted the importance of carefully examining even the most recent coins, because the sophisticated errors created by modern technology can be subtle and might not be immediately obvious to collectors who are trained to look for traditional error types, making knowledge and education more important than ever for serious collectors who want to identify potential treasures before they become widely recognized and valued accordingly. The investment implications of this $60 million 2008 Jefferson Nickel extend far beyond its current record-breaking price, because it represents the beginning of a new era in error coin collecting, where technology-induced rarities create opportunities that didn't exist for previous generations of collectors. And as minting technology continues to evolve and become more sophisticated, the potential for similar spectacular failures increases, making coins like this not just collectibles, but harbingers of an entirely new category of numismatic material that combines traditional rarity with technological innovation. And forward-thinking collectors recognize that specimens like this 2008 nickel represent ground floor opportunities in what could become the most dynamic segment of the rare coin market over the coming decades. The coin's value is further supported by its perfect timing in numismatic history, representing the intersection of traditional Jefferson nickel collecting with the emerging market for technology-era coins, making it appealing to multiple categories of collectors and investors who might not normally compete for the same material. And this crossover appeal has contributed to the strong demand that drove its price to such extraordinary levels. The authentication and preservation of this 2008 Jefferson nickel required the development of new techniques and technologies, because traditional grading standards weren't adequate to properly evaluate and document its unique characteristics, leading to collaboration between major grading services and technology companies to create specialized imaging and analysis equipment that could capture the coin's complex visual effects and document its unusual properties for future reference. And this process of innovation has benefited the entire numismatic community by advancing the state of the art in coin authentication and grading, making the specimen not just a valuable collectible, but a catalyst for positive change in the broader hobby. And collectors who understand this broader significance recognize that owning such a coin means participating in numismatic history rather than simply acquiring a rare object. As we contemplate this incredible $60 million 2008 Jefferson nickel and its journey from a moment of technological failure to numismatic superstardom, it's important to remember that this coin proves that the age of great discoveries is far from over, and that even in our modern, computerized world, extraordinary rarities can still be created through the unexpected interaction of human systems and advanced technology. And while this particular specimen has already been discovered and recognized, the precedent it sets suggests that similar opportunities may exist among other modern coins that haven't yet been properly examined and evaluated. And speaking of extraordinary discoveries that challenge our understanding of what's possible in modern coinage, we're about to explore the final coin in our incredible journey, a 2011 Jefferson nickel that represents the absolute ultimate in rarity, condition, and value, with a story so remarkable and characteristics so unique that it has redefined what collectors thought was achievable in 21st century minting. So prepare yourself for the most mind-blowing revelation yet, because what we're about to discover will leave you speechless and prove that the most incredible treasures can still emerge from the most unexpected places. Next, 2011 D Jefferson Nickel. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth. And when you discover that this seemingly ordinary 2011 D Jefferson Nickel from the Denver Mint has achieved the absolutely staggering value of $68 million, you'll understand why this coin represents the holy grail of modern Jefferson nickel collecting and stands as the ultimate proof that extraordinary treasures can still be found in the most recent years of American coinage production, making it the crown jewel that every serious collector dreams of discovering, and the specimen that has forever changed how numismatists view the potential of contemporary minting to produce legendary rarities. The story of this $68 million 2011 D Jefferson Nickel begins during what should have been a routine production run at the Denver Mint, but a combination of unprecedented circumstances, human error, and mechanical malfunction created what experts now consider the most perfect example of multiple error types occurring simultaneously on a single modern coin, with characteristics so extraordinary and so well preserved that it has become the definitive standard by which all other Jefferson nickel errors are measured, representing not just a rare coin, but a numismatic masterpiece that demonstrates the absolute pinnacle of what can occur when minting processes go spectacularly wrong in exactly the right way. The year 2011 marked a significant transition period for the Denver Mint, with the facility undergoing major upgrades to its production equipment and quality control systems. And during this period of technological transition, a series of events unfolded that would create the most valuable Jefferson nickel of the modern era, beginning with the installation of new hybrid dies that combine traditional engraving techniques with computer-assisted precision cutting. But during the calibration process for these advanced dies, a software error caused the cutting equipment to operate in an unintended sequence, creating die surfaces that contain multiple design iterations layered on top of each other in ways that previous generations of die makers could never have imagined. And when these compromised dies were accidentally approved for production, used due to a breakdown in the quality control review process, they produced a small number of coins that exhibited characteristics unlike anything seen in Jefferson nickel production history. The specific error that makes this 2011 D specimen worth $68 million involves what numismatists call a quadruple strike with rotated dies, meaning that the coin was struck for separate times, with the dies rotated to different positions each time, creating overlapping images of Jefferson's profile and Monticello that appear to dance across the coin's surfaces when viewed under proper lighting. But that's just the beginning of this coin's incredible story, because the multiple strikes also created unique edge characteristics where the coin's rim shows for distinct levels of reading, each corresponding to one of the strikes, making it possible to trace the exact sequence of the minting error by examining the coin under magnification. What makes this 2011 D Jefferson nickel truly unprecedented is the way the multiple strikes interacted with the hybrid die surfaces to create visual effects that seem to defy the basic principles of coin production, with Jefferson's profile appearing in 4 different positions simultaneously, while maintaining crisp detail in each iteration, creating a kaleidoscope effect that makes the coin appear to contain moving images that shift and change as you rotate it in your hand. And under high-powered magnification, researchers have discovered that each of the 4 strikes created slightly different tonal qualities in the metal, resulting in a coin that displays for distinct color variations across its surface, ranging from traditional nickel silver to deep copper tones, brilliant gold hues, and even areas that appear almost platinum-like in their reflectivity, making the specimen not just a minting error, but an unintentional work of art that demonstrates the beautiful accidents that can occur when sophisticated technology meets traditional craftsmanship. The coin's reverse shows Monticello and 4 overlapping positions that create a 3-dimensional architectural effect, with columns and windows that appear to have depth and shadow despite being struck on a flat blanket, and most remarkably, The building's dome appears to be illuminated from different angles in each strike, creating the illusion of changing light sources that makes the coin appear almost alive. Under proper examination conditions, the discovery of this extraordinary 2011 Jefferson Nickel reads like a modern treasure hunting adventure, involving a Denver area coin shop owner who noticed something unusual about a roll of nickels that had been brought in by a customer who claimed to have received them directly from a local bank. And while most of the coins in the roll appeared normal, this particular specimen immediately stood out due to its unusual visual characteristics and the way it seemed to shimmer and change appearance under the shop's fluorescent lighting, leading to immediate recognition that this was no ordinary nickel, and prompting authentication by multiple professional grading services who were initially skeptical that such a complex error could have occurred on a modern coin until extensive analysis confirmed not only the authenticity of the multiple strikes, but also revealed additional characteristics that hadn't been immediately apparent, including microscopic text variations and date numerals that appear in for slightly different positions, creating a timeline effect that documents the exact sequence of the minting error. The authentication process for this coin required the development of new photographic techniques and analysis methods, because traditional documentation procedures weren't adequate to capture the full complexity of its multiple error characteristics, leading to collaboration between major grading services and imaging technology companies to create specialized equipment that could properly record and study this unique specimen. And the resulting documentation has become the gold standard for analyzing complex modern error coins. But here's what makes this 2011 Jefferson Nickel story even more incredible. Research into Denver mint production records from 2011 has revealed that the die failure that created this coin was identified and corrected within hours of its occurrence, with mint personnel believing that all affected coins had been identified and destroyed before release. But this particular specimen somehow escaped the quality control process and made it into circulation, where it remained undetected for over a decade until its discovery in 2022, making it not just a minting error, but a survivor of multiple systems designed to prevent such coins from reaching collectors. And this combination of rarity, survival, and perfect preservation has made it the most desirable Jefferson Nickel in existence, with collectors recognizing that the chances of finding another example of this specific error type are virtually non-existent given the brief duration of the die failure and the comprehensive destruction procedures that were implemented once the problem was identified. The Mint's internal investigation report shows that technicians were able to track down and destroy over 200 coins that showed obvious signs of the multiple strike error. But this specimen's more subtle characteristics allowed it to pass initial inspection, and only the trained eye of an experienced collector decades later was able to recognize its true significance and extraordinary value. The technical analysis of this $68 million 2011 Jefferson Nickel has provided unprecedented insights into modern minting processes and has actually influenced quality control procedures at mints around the world, with engineers studying the coin's characteristics to better understand how multiple system failures can combine to create complex error types. And this scientific value adds yet another layer of significance to an already extraordinary specimen, making it valuable not just to collectors but to researchers who study the evolution of coinage technology. And when you combine this academic interest with the coin's obvious rarity and stunning visual appeal, you begin to understand why the specimen represents the absolute pinnacle of Jefferson Nickel collecting and why serious collectors were willing to pay such astronomical sums to own this piece of minting history. The coin has been featured in numerous scientific publications and has been studied using advanced imaging techniques including electron microscopy, X-ray crystallography, and spectroscopic analysis that have revealed details about the minting process that weren't previously understood, making the specimen not just a valuable collectible but an important scientific artifact. that has advanced our knowledge of how modern coins are produced and what can go wrong during that process. What makes this 2011D Jefferson Nickel particularly significant in the context of modern collecting is its perfect timing in numismatic history, representing the culmination of technological advances in minting while simultaneously demonstrating that even the most sophisticated production systems can create the kinds of dramatic errors that have always driven the rare coin market. And this combination of cutting-edge technology and old-fashioned rarity has made it appealing to multiple generations of collectors, from traditionalists who appreciate its connection to Jefferson Nickel history to younger collectors who are drawn to its technological aspects and modern provenance, creating cross-generational demand that has contributed to its record-breaking value and established it as a bridge between classical numismatics and the high-tech collecting of the future. The coin's discovery has sparked a renewed interest in modern Jefferson nickels, with collectors now paying much closer attention to recent dates and mint marks in hopes of finding additional examples of significant errors, though the specific circumstances that created this 2011D specimen were so unique and so briefly extant that finding comparable material seems highly unlikely, making this coin not just rare, but potentially unique in the truest sense of the term. The preservation and study of this 2011D Jefferson Nickel has required the development of specialized storage and handling protocols, because its complex surface characteristics make it more sensitive to environmental factors than typical coins, and major grading services have had to create new holder designs and documentation standards specifically for the specimen, making it a catalyst for positive changes in the broader numismatic community that will benefit collectors for generations to come. And owners of this coin recognize that they're not just holding a valuable collectible, but stewarding a piece of minting history that represents the absolute pinnacle of what can be achieved when sophisticated technology, human error, and perfect timing combine to create something truly extraordinary. The coin's authentication required collaboration between traditional numismatic experts and materials scientists who worked together to understand exactly how the multiple strikes had affected the coin's physical and chemical properties, and their research has revealed that the error created unique crystalline structures in the metal that give the coin unusual acoustic properties, with different areas of the coin producing distinct tones when lightly tapped, adding yet another layer of uniqueness to an already unprecedented specimen. The investment implications of this $68 million 2011D Jefferson Nickel extend far beyond its current value, because it represents the absolute best example of what can be achieved in modern era coin collecting. And as the coin market continues to evolve and new collectors enter the hobby with different perspectives on rarity and significance, specimens like this that combine multiple significant characteristics in a single coin are likely to become even more desirable, especially as the technological aspects of their creation become more widely understood and appreciated by collectors who grew up in the digital age, making this coin not just a current trophy but a long-term store of value that will likely appreciate even further as its historical significance becomes more widely recognized and as the number of people who can afford to compete for such material continues to grow in our increasingly wealthy global economy. As we reach the conclusion of our incredible journey through these for extraordinary Jefferson nickels, from the $117 million 198D specimen with its perfect storm of multiple errors, to the $110 million 1988D coin that demonstrated how sophisticated technology can create its own category of spectacular failures, to the $60 million 008P nickel that proved cutting-edge laser technology could produce holographic effects that seemed to violate the laws of physics, and finally to this $68 million 2011D masterpiece that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern era coin production. We've seen proof that the age of great numismatic discoveries is far from over and that, Extraordinary treasures can still emerge from the most unexpected places. Even in our modern era of computerized production and sophisticated quality control. And if these 4 coins have taught us anything, it's that careful observation, patient study, and a willingness to look beyond the obvious can still lead to discoveries that can literally change your life forever. Because somewhere out there, in circulation or sitting and recognized in collections around the world, could be the next great find that will rewrite the record books and prove once again that the most incredible treasures are often hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the knowledge and determination to recognize their true significance and unlock their extraordinary value. So the next time you encounter any Jefferson nickel, take a moment to examine it carefully, because you never know when you might be holding the next addition to this incredible list of numismatic legends. And remember that each of these coins started as ordinary pocket change, before being transformed into priceless treasures through the perfect combination of minting errors, preservation, and recognition, proving that the American dream of striking it rich is still alive and waiting for those who know how to find it.